No investment can give you a guarantee of 100% long-term wealth, but investing in real estate is probably your safest bet if you can avoid the pitfalls.
Rainbows to Riches.
Welcome back to Rainbows to Riches, guys, a podcast tailored but not limited to the LGBTQ plus community. I'm Rayleigh Wells, and until recently, I had no financial guidance until I met Drew and his husband, Michael, and they not only became my financial mentors, but very close friends, and we decided to create this podcast, create this community, this safe community to talk about personal finance.
I'm Drew. I've run a number of different businesses in 3 different countries. I have bought, sold, and rented out quite a number of commercial and residential real estate over the years.
My name is Michael. I've been with Drew about 25 years. When I first met him, I had just come out of bankruptcy, and with his guidance and suggestion and a lot of hard work, I was able to buy my first house, open a business, and now looking towards retirement.
And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about real estate. It is going to be a pretty long episode, so we are going to split it into 2 episodes. So today, specifically, we're going to be talking about choosing what to buy, right, guys? What's the best option to buy? What's available out there? For you guys to have an understanding, a basic understanding. And then next week, we're going to be talking about financing for your first house. So I guess when I moved to the United States, buying a house was like the American dream. If you buy a house, you have achieved the American dream. And why is that, guys? Why would I buy instead of rent? If somebody is thinking about their next move, financial move, why should one buy instead of renting?
One of the reasons is what you just said. Emotionally, it is so satisfying to know that you own the place you're living in. Nobody can throw you out. Nobody can raise your rent. You've bought it. You've negotiated it. You have a mortgage, which is not going to change if you choose the right kind of mortgage, over as many years as it takes you to pay off, after which you have no more payments to make, and you own that house outright for as long as you live.
When did you guys buy your first house? When did you buy your first house?
Well, Drew has had a number of things of real estate over the years. When I met him, I had just come through bankruptcy. I was with my ex, and we lived in a house that he owned. My goal was to own my own home. And in 2004, we closed on a townhouse that I purchased individually. He helped me guidance-wise, but we put everything in my name. So I am
And I paid half of it.
He paid half. It's not that I could afford the whole thing myself. But as far as ownership goes and tax advantages to ownership, I own it February 13th, 2004, which was Friday the 13th. We closed on it.
Really? How do you remember that?
I remember it. Trust me. I know that. It's a lucky day for me.
I guess how did that emotional part play during that experience? Did you feel that? Like, how was the feeling?
Well, there were so many things to it. First of all, it was like so much of my motive in my life was to prove people wrong. I was the youngest. I was gay. Therefore, there was a lot of, they kind of discounted me in many ways. So when I knew I had bought my house in my name, it meant a lot. And I think my family was impressed as well.
You felt respected.
I did. And you have to understand that having come from a relationship where I had no say, nothing was in my name. I was basically like a tenant in his house. It was really important for me to have my own. I mean, it represented overcoming, which is a huge part of my story, is overcoming obstacles. So for me, it was really exciting. And it was also very exciting to be able to share this with my husband. It represented stability in a relationship for me. And, we talk about financial stability. Owning a home is very grounding because you just can't pack up and leave. There's so many moving parts to it.
And let me just interrupt. That's part of the reason of buying as opposed to renting is that emotional reason. You feel really, really good when you know that it's yours.
I mean, it's a piece of land. It's like,
It's land, it's a house, and it, most importantly, it builds equity. And equity means ownership. In the beginning, basically, the bank owns your house. However, if you're paying $1,000 a month in a mortgage, or $1,000 a month in real estate, in renting a house, if you're in that house 10 years, 20 years, however long you're in that house, you're paying your rent. When you buy a house, you are building equity. So in the beginning, let's say the bank owns 90% of the house. You own only 10%. Over the years, and we'll talk about this more in financing, but over the years, you own more and more and more until at the end of the term, whatever that term is, you own the whole house. Where you'd still be paying rent, now you don't have to pay rent ever again.
The other thing is, when you rent, the likelihood is your rent is going to go up every year or every 2 years when you sign a new lease. So over the time of a mortgage, which is anywhere from 20 to 30 years, your rent is going to go up quite a bit. When you close on a house and you establish your mortgage payment, that stays there. There's variations in taxes, but your monthly mortgage is not going to change unless you refinance.
Or unless you choose a variable rate mortgage, which you never should. People do.
But when we purchased it, it was based on my income level at the time, what I could afford, and he was able to match. Over the years, which is now 21 years, my income has gone up. My mortgage has not. So it becomes more affordable over time.
therefore, you're making money with.
Well, I mean, I'm building equity, obviously. And after this many years, we did actually refinance at one point because when I first purchased, I was not considered a good risk. I had come out of bankruptcy. I didn't have that high an income on the books because as a hairdresser, a lot of it is in cash. So I had to constantly, no, I mean, it comes in cash and then you declare it,
Yes,
which I
right.
did.
Yes, you did.
I absolutely did. And I had fights with my bosses because they didn't want to show. And I said, look, I need to show an income. So I kept pushing my on the books. Anyway, what ended up happening was this was during a period where the real estate market was
What
going
year was
crazy.
that?
2004. There was what they call the real estate boom, where everybody was being approved for mortgages. People who should never have been given a mortgage because the rate was so low, they were giving mortgages to anybody. You could go in with no money down and buy a $200,000 house. The idea was the value of real estate was going to continue to climb, so there weren't any risks. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. But I benefited from that because people were given mortgages who were considered very, very high risk. And even though I did have the money and I could afford it, and I was having someone sharing the expenses, I got a mortgage at a higher rate than standard. And when I established some payment, I was able to get a lower rate mortgage. So now we're in like the normal amount. It's like 4%, 4.5%.
Smart, because
Yeah,
renting the house is never going to be yours.
Right.
It's never going to be yours, and it'll only go up in expenses, in cost. So buying a house, if you take the right kind of mortgage, keeps the payment the same. You can always pay more if you want to be able to own it earlier, which is what we've done.
We overpay.
Instead
now.
Instead of 30 years, we'll own it in 20 years.
Oh, nice.
Which is
10 years.
Which is just like another year and a half or something.
Right. We have
and
about
it's
a year and
paid
a half
off.
left on our mortgage.
Period. And then,
And then
what are
you
you
own
doing
it for
after?
A cruise. What do we do for everything? A cruise.
Willis.
Let's go have dinner. Period.
That's when the plastic surgery starts.
Ooh, that's where we like the money to go. You know?
Investing in yourself.
I am at an age that I'm starting to think about my owning my own property, and I guess that the most common questions that people my age have is like, what to buy, what's the best fit of like apartment or a house or a condo, because depending on what you buy, the way that you're going to manage and keep your investment is different, right? So what do you think, sir? How was your, like when you bought your first house? Like take your memory back.
Well, what I bought as my first house, which is what most people buy, is a house.
Just one.
Family house. Your first house is with Angelos and the kids.
Yeah, it was a big, giant house because I had a whole bunch of kids.
Period.
But, well, no, in Brazil we bought a house too. We bought an apartment and we bought a condo in Brazil. But it was just really too small. With kids, you kind of need a backyard and a lot of room to play, which most gay people don't have that as an issue. So that the type of property you buy has to do with your lifestyle and your finances. The three options are a one-family home, 4 options. One-family home where you will live alone and or with a husband or a wife. A multi-family home with 2 apartments, 3 apartments, 4. You can make apartments or just rooms that you can rent out. A condo where you own everything inside your house and everything outside is taken care of by a condo association of one sort or another, which means the landscaping and the snow removal and
You don't have to do any work or pay.
you don't have to do any work. You often have to pay for it
You
because
contribute monthly. We have a maintenance, which is a month that every unit pays a certain amount, which goes into savings and is used to cover the cost of garbage collection and snow plowing and landscaping services. And eventually, like right now, we're having a new driveway put in. So we put money away in savings, and then we also had to add an additional payment to cover the cost of the driveway.
which is something to consider when you buy a co-op, rather a condo. There are a number of units. If the majority vote to redo the driveway, which they did, and we agreed with, if the majority votes to do it, and in our case, the additional monies needed was something like, $2,000 per unit.
Per unit.
Each unit had to come up with $2,000, and if you voted against it, but the majority voted for it, you lost.
And what if this person doesn't pay?
Oh, you don't want to. You don't want
Mess
to not.
with the-
You don't want to not pay.
We're lucky because we are all on the same financial level and we do agree to pay these things. But if you don't, they put a lien on your unit, meaning that at some point in the future, if that unit is sold, that money comes out. But
But they could even sue you and have
you
you
could
removed.
sue. I mean, everything costs money. So
Even if they bought the apartment?
oh yeah, I mean you're buying a property.
That's the look they all have.
Inside of a condo.
And
Well, they
in-
should pay,
the
obviously.
The difference is that in a condominium, what you're buying is you're buying your interior space, what they call from studs in. So everything inside your unit is yours. You can do whatever you want. From the studs out, meaning the outside walls and all the property, is a community owned. You are a percentage owner of that property, but you still have to pay what the community decides. If, for instance, we had someone in the building who decided they wanted to put a garage in the back, they couldn't do that unless everyone agreed to it or unless the majority of people agreed.
I mean, they couldn't even paint their door red.
Yeah, I mean, literally,
You
our,
know.
our bylaws are written that all the units have to look the same on the outside. Inside, you can look anyway. But if someone decides, I want a garage for my car, they can't put a garage because that's on community property.
Oh, so
So-
that's a very important thing
Very
to
important.
consider.
One woman wanted to change her windows. She couldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah,
She could get new windows, but they had to match the windows that everybody else has.
Yeah, there are drawbacks because you have to be aware that you're not the final. You don't have final
You
say.
don't actually own the outside of.
Right,
The
but
outside
you
you
also
share.
aren't
You
responsible for it. You know, you don't have to shovel your own snow or take care of the landscape or anything
That's
like
a
that.
nice part. That's a
So,
great
so
part.
like there were 3 or 4 types of home ownerships, and everyone has drawbacks, and everyone has positive points. A condo has, we've discussed what the positive points are. The negative points are what it may cost you. Or if you have a neighbor you're not crazy about. But that can happen with any
So
property.
we should clarify, because I didn't know for years the difference between a condominium and a cooperative.
Big difference. Usually you get a co-op. One of the main reasons, if co-ops exist, like in Manhattan, co-op is a big thing. Co-ops, as a rule, are not in many places around the country. A co-op, which is short for a cooperative, is just that. The cooperative, this company, owns the land and the property. Because of that, you buy it less expensively. If you have a three-bedroom condo on one side of the street and a three-bedroom co-op as part of a co-op unit on the other side of the street, the co-op is going to be way less expensive. Manhattan to buy. In Manhattan, prices are so expensive, many people buy co-ops just because it's way less expensive. But number
So
one,
what is the difference? Why is it less expensive?
well, there's the difference. I'm glad you asked. A condo, you own everything inside.
The interior space is yours to
Right.
do whatever
and
you
the
want.
land is yours. The land is yours. You
Percentage of the
yeah.
outside.
Yeah. But in a co-op, you own your apartment. You have to be approved by the co-op board just to move in there. We have a condo. If we want to sell it to you, we sell it to you. If we had a co-op and we wanted to sell it to you, you have to go before the co-op board and show how much money you have. And
It's like a third party.
well, it's an organization. It's a company. And then they have this group, in the co-op, they have a group who will interview all potential new owners. And in Manhattan, they get turned down, and they don't have to give you a reason. They just say no. and we've had movie stars turned down, really, because they didn't want famous people in their building.
Oh, wow.
And these movie stars who were worth millions and millions and millions of dollars were told, no, thank you, we don't want you.
As I understand it, in a co-op, you own a percentage of the cooperative building.
Right.
So everything in that building that needs to be changed, just as a condo, you have to pay your percentage. If you have a smaller unit, you pay a smaller percentage, but you have many, many more regulations. Like you can't really do changes on the inside unless the co-op board approves. If you want to put a new kitchen in, they have to examine all of the plans and
yeah,
make sure that you're not going to do any structural damages and stuff like that.
And the biggest problem with a co-op is when you've now gotten it less expensively. When you sell it, you have to give a percentage of the sales price, which is usually a percentage of what you paid for it, back to the co-op.
This sounds like almost like leasing a car. But like
Oh, it's more complicated.
Much
than
more
leasing
but
a
it's like
car.
it's never it doesn't really sound yours.
You never really own it. You will never own it.
I mean, for younger people, it might be a great option.
You have an
because-
apartment, let's say in Manhattan, where an apartment studio, let's say, in Manhattan as a condo would cost, in most parts of Manhattan, I'm going to say $500,000. A condo, a co-op, I'm sorry, in the same area would cost $350,000 or $400,000. Big difference. And meanwhile, you live in the same place. You live across the street from one another. You have the same apartment, but the form of ownership is different. What it costs you is less expensive to buy it, but when you sell it, you have to give away some of the money that you earned.
I think we're getting into the financial part
Yeah,
of it,
right.
which is
No,
off topic. But one of the things that we didn't mention earlier was if you are thinking that you might eventually want to buy a piece of property, how do you find them? There are sites, Zillow being the most common one, where you can just pick a neighborhood and you can say, all right, I want to live in Clifton, New Jersey. And you can see what the prices of properties in Clifton, New Jersey. You can say that the average home price in that town is, say, I don't know, $400,000. But there are very inexpensive houses and there are multi-million-dollar houses. So if you are clear that you want to spend about $200,000, that's going to limit where you can afford. So Clifton may not be the place for you. You may want to go into Patterson, or you may want to go into Newark, or you may want to go into an area that is less desirable. And the prices of those areas are often determined by crime rate, schools. If an area has a good school system, it makes people want to spend more money to live there so that their children can be educated. If you have a town that has high taxes, it is usually representative of a good school system. So you're going to balance what are your needs. As a single person, I didn't need to worry about a good school system. It wasn't part of the factor for me. I did want to get a reasonable taxes, property taxes. I wanted to be a commutable distance to New York, which is another factor. If you are looking for something inexpensive, you can move far away from the metropolitan area. We're in New Jersey. Many people work in Manhattan. You could buy a house in Pennsylvania for half of what you're paying for us. But then you have to get, if you work in New York,
You have to travel. So
right.
To live in
So
Pennsylvania.
there's so many factors aside from the condition of the property. You have to figure out what are your needs. Do you need to have a space that you can have people come and visit? Do you need to have a space that you can take care of a dog? All of those are going to be part of your, choice. And if you find something that's ideal but a little bit above your price range, maybe you can get in a roommate, or maybe you can rent out rooms to some people that you don't know yet. There are a lot of things, but the best thing to do is educate yourself and to look on different sites and say, I want to spend X number of dollars, say $250,000 or something. What towns could I afford to live in? And then how far are they from where I work, and whether or not my car can be parked on the driveway or in the street.
period. You said something very important. You have to do your research. And therefore, that's why we are here. So make sure to
Talk to people, network.
talk to people, network, and make sure to follow. Make sure to turn on the bell so you can get a notification for our next episodes, so you can stay up to date with everything. And you talked about some important questions that we should be asking ourselves that nobody thinks, like the whole school system, like
Yeah, very
these
important.
like smarter questions for you to decide the area that you're going to be talking
And
about.
safety for people who are on the LGBTQ community.
Oh, yeah,
If
that's
you
a
are
good-
living in an area that is extremely conservative, you may have difficulty with your neighbors. You want to kind of feel out, is that a safe place for me? It may be safe as far as crime, but if you have neighbors who don't want you there, you could have vandalism. You could have issues. You could be having the police called every time you do anything. So be conscious of the property, where you are comparative to other gay people. Are you in a neighborhood where there's already gay people living, or are you in a neighborhood where you're going to be the one?
Got it. That's very important to think too. And you talked about Zillow in terms of finding houses, but I just wanted to say that Instagram is very popular right now too, because real estate agents. I have one of my friends is one. I do follow another person as well. They're creating pages like community pages like ours, or even business pages where they exchange deals and information. So it's important to be like on social media watching out for these people too, because you never know what you might find.
Right.
Now that everything is moving to social media, to Instagram, these sites might lose some of the traffic. So researching on social media might be
Very important.
In here.
And to decide if you want a single family home, or if you would rather have a multifamily home, or if you'd rather rent out rooms, or if you're allowed to rent on Airbnb through
Oh, yeah,
Airbnb.
Airbnb.
You'd have to decide what you're allowed to do, what you're comfortable doing. We have a friend who is a not young woman who has
Like, sure.
roommates all the time. Constantly.
And she has the most interesting people in her life. It's amazing.
We just love
Every
to
time we
get
go there, it's
invited over.
Who are you? And where do you work?
In your
and where were you
condo?
wo-" No,
No,
our,
in-
our friend Kathy.
Kathy. You know
okay.
Kathy.
Kathy has the most fabulous luck in meeting these international, educated, fabulous people. And they move in and out a lot. But and we love meeting her new tenants. They are so much fun.
And they're probably paying for her mortgage. Which
Oh,
is
I'm sure.
smart.
And
I'm
I'm
sure.
sure
It's a
they're
very
paying for her
wise
mortgage.
financial move.
And the smartest, she likes it. She enjoys having all those people, finds these wonderful people, and has a good portion, if not all, of her mortgage paid for.
And it's really fun to go to Kathy's house because you can meet all these interesting people. But one of the things that I had to decide was I wanted a place where I could do work. I wanted to be able to change things around. So I wanted a fixer-upper. Some people don't have those skills. They want to go directly into a house, as they call move-in condition.
Oh, me.
Yeah. Yeah, some people don't want that. But if you do find a place that has additional rental property, you can get a better mortgage because you can prove that.
You have to have a lease.
Oh, you have to have someone written. Okay.
So now to end this episode, my last question would be, what's the safest type of real estate investment for somebody my age, like mid-20s, ended college, starting their career? Because I always thought that like maybe a condo or a house, like a double house, like two-family house, where one can pay your mortgage.
Well,
was the
just
smart-
remember, first of all, there's no such thing as safest because you don't know.
You don't know.
Ideally, if you rent out another apartment and you have a lease and you get good tenants, they'll pay some good chunk of your mortgage, and that's wonderful. But being a landlord, and I was a landlord
He's not a fan of being
for
a landlord.
many years, and one of my most favorite days in all my entire life is when I sold my last property, just so you know.
But I'm talking about my own property, not
Yeah,
like
but you're talking about renting out.
For
Possibly
you-
renting out.
Just subjectively, I know you, and I think that what you want is you want to be able to come and go as you please. You want to be able to have a house that you can have people over or not have people over. And you don't want to have to worry about whether or not someone else's toilet needs to be fixed
Yeah.
or whether or not they're paying the rent to you. It's much better in the beginning, especially to be self-contained, I think.
If you can afford
makes
to be.
sense.
Being a landlord, what people don't realize is being a landlord is a job. You have a job. This is another job.
that you.
And you have no choice. When they say the toilet's broken or the heat's not working, you can't say, well, maybe on the weekend I'll have a little time.
Well,
No.
you can, but you lose your tenants,
Oh,
and then
right,
you could also be brought to court if
Oh,
you're
yeah,
not
you
keeping
can't,
it.
you can't do
So
that.
you're saying that condo for me would be,
If you
or a
don't,
single house?
if you don't want to have lawn care and you don't have the skills to do interior repairs, a condo is probably a good way for you to get into the real estate market.
And if you had
I
a
would guess.
two-bedroom condo, you possibly could rent out the other bedroom if it's somebody, a trans girl, somebody you're comfortable with. You know, a straight truck driver probably wouldn't be a wonderful roommate for you because you're going to be
Do not
sharing.
rent a room out to someone you're attracted to, because that
Yeah,
causes
that too. That's never a good idea. Like
well,
the
you
straight
might as
truck
well
driver.
just move in.
But yeah, but if somebody is in the other bedroom, that person is going to be possibly sharing a bathroom if there's not two bathrooms, and is going to be sharing a kitchen.
Yeah.
And maybe your living room. You have to really vet that person and be sure you find somebody who you're comfortable with. But even in a condo, you can do that. Our friend, for many years, I think 15 or 18 years, had a roommate. The two of them each in it. We was sharing one bedroom, one bathroom rather, and two bedrooms, and they were just the best of friends for forever. So it can work out fine, but it could also not work out fine. And I'm sure you've heard horror stories, and if you ask around,
I've
you'll hear
experienced
more.
them during college.
Yeah. So that's what you have to remember. You just want to be sure, and you can't be sure. You do your due diligence. You do the best you can to vet the person, to get to know the person. But once they move in, all bets are off. If you were wrong in your evaluation, you're kind of in trouble.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. This was our version of real estate investment. Stay tuned for our next video, which is about financing your first property. I hope you enjoyed, and make sure to like.
Comment?
And subscribe.
Also, make sure to share with a friend. It's always great to get the word out there so we can increase the amount of people tuning into the safe community to talk about personal finance.
And do remember that this podcast is only for education and entertainment. And if you have any questions, please let us know. We'll either answer them individually or possibly make a whole episode about it if we feel that it has broad appeal.
And especially if you are from an area other than the New York metropolitan area where we are, your experience with real estate could be different. And I'd love to hear some stories about what you found in different parts of the world or U.S.
Don't forget to stay up to date on Instagram as well. We'll be posting reels there about our upcoming episodes, and you can comment about any questions, suggestions, feedback. We appreciate it all. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.